Hello friends and welcome back. I'm Enterprise Architecture and we are in another beautiful day here in Vintagestory. We've got a bunch of chores ahead of us today, so let's not waste any time talking about it. Let's dive right in. Alright, so we have been letting a few things pile up that we need to get to. First things first, let's take this bronze pickaxe head that we made last episode and go ahead and turn that into a proper bronze pickaxe. Throw that on the wall and we will have that for later use. Now, these are all of the cattails and whatnot that I had gathered up in between episodes. I talked about this in a previous episode, but this is a lot of tool that we're going to need to plant and cattails that we're going to need to plant. So let's go ahead and grab up our chest. I'm not sure that we're going to plant all of that. We're going to plant a decent amount. You can see here, we've been slowly expanding out these rows here to add more rows as we've been going, but we're kind of running out of room in this section of our farm. We're really close to the edge of the water here, so we're gonna have to deal with that fact. I think the way that we deal with that is by clearing out as much of this as we can, and then maybe we start building a new field somewhere else. But I think we might be pretty close on what we're going to need for pretty much the rest of the game as far as tool goes. This grows every 48 days, and this should be enough to outfit most of the houses that we would ever want to make, assuming that we can keep up with it. But for right now, let's go ahead and add more cattails because that's something we know that we're going to want more of. All right, let's go ahead and grab ourselves up a stack of tool root. Maybe we do 2 stacks of tool root. That should be plenty here. You know, this is way more than we actually need, I think, but it'll be good to have. We can just go ahead and fill in this much, and I think this is going to be the last row I'm going to do of tool for now. Like I said, we don't have that many uses for thatch, at least at this point, and I think this should suffice for pretty much everything we're going to do. All right, that is all planted. Our berries are getting ready to come in. It looks like we've got, this is going to flower in 1 day, so this will ripen in 18 days. Well, that's not just ready to come in, but we're almost half a month away. Oh, but over here, look at this. We already have our first turnips on our farm. That's wonderful. Let's go ahead and break these out. Anything that is a mature turnip, we are going to grab up here. These are not fully grown. These are not fully grown. Okay, carrots, onions are getting there. Flax is getting there. Carrots should be getting there. Parsnips should be getting there. So everything else is slowly coming along. We're really waiting on this flax though. Now I'd stopped over here to throw away our extra bushes that we aren't using, and I heard a very familiar noise. I don't know if you hear what I hear, but I realized my hives had started to spread. Now it's only been about 2 hours in real life, I think, since I put down all of these hives, and all of my skeps are now ready to be harvested. Every single one of them. The ceramic hive isn't full yet though, so we're going to need to go and place these onto each of the different skeps that we have. Now what we need to do here, actually, I'm doing this a little bit out of order. I need to remove this handbasket so that I have a space for it. Then I can go all the way down to that skep, and I can pick that skep up. Now I can take the ceramic hive, put it here, and then I can select the ceramic or the regular skep again. And now this is a populated hive. You can see there it says population size poor, but it does mean that there is indeed bees in there. And then we just need to repeat that process over and over. Let me grab this one here. So let's come over here. We're going to select our empty spot, grab up a skep, put down a ceramic hive right on top of there. We reselect the skep, click on it, and now it is filled. We put our honey pot right on top. There we go. And one last time, just like this, put it down. Go ahead and put the hive back on top in there. There we go. And then the honey pot goes on top of that. Great. So as I mentioned in the episode where we actually put this together, these are all on single fence posts because that's going to keep raccoons from getting into them. That makes them nice and safe. It does look like we need at least 6 more of our ceramic hives and honey pots. If not, hopefully a lot more, because I want to just be up to my elbows in honey. I want so much honey that I don't know what to do with it. Barrels and barrels of honey is my goal. But that does mean that we need to make a bunch more skeps, and of course we need a bunch more ceramic hives. But that is a wonderful starting point. Now friends, I am kicking myself here because I had been thinking that I wanted to make all of those fire clay bricks so that I could make a bloomery. But what I'm realizing is that we could have used some of that fire clay for other projects. Notably, we could have used the fire clay to make an oven, and that's a thing that we are going to need. So I'm going to go ahead and make up a little bit more of our calcinated flint here. So let's go ahead and grab this, throw this into the fire pit, and we're going to get this starting to get heated up with our peat. Once the peat has burned down, we are going to replace that out with charcoal, with a few remaining pieces of charcoal we have. Now, we are very close to running out of charcoal, but thankfully we cut down a lot of trees. Now, we don't want to use our oak for this, obviously, because the oak is going to be a valuable resource. We are going to use that for tanning our hides that we already started putting in. But we are going to take all of this firewood from an entire stack of maple logs and use that to make a whole bunch more charcoal. Charcoal is really easy to make, it just requires a lot of time. Oh, and our fire clay bricks are done, even better. Okay, so let's go over this way a little bit. We're gonna need to give ourselves a little bit more light here, and we need to dig out an area to put all this charcoal in. I think I'm gonna dig down an extra set of blocks here because I think this is how deep it'll end up being when we're done. I think that's right. Yeah, that appears to be the right depth for this. So there we go. That can go all the way to the roof if we want. This one can go all the way up to here. There we go. And then we start stacking these as well. Oh, nope, one less. Just one less. There we go. And then this one we want to stack. Perfect. All right, so that's all of our firewood put down. Go ahead and give ourselves a little square right here and leave that open. Oh, we are a block short. Oh, it's because I'm using all of my medium fertility soil. Okay, let's go ahead and put one piece here. This is only low fertility soil, so we had pretty much run out. And now we just need basically like one piece of grass. So just give me one piece of grass. There we go. And we can place this down right on top of the firewood. Now, this does need one more set of pieces of firewood, 4 pieces of firewood, to actually ignite. So that was my mistake. Where is one more log? Just one more log. I'm hearing some horrible noises, y'all. I don't know if you can hear that in the recording, but I think maybe we have monsters somewhere around here. In the caves. I don't know where they would be. But I'm definitely hearing something over here. All right, so back over here, let's turn this into an actual fire pit. There we go. We trade the torch into our main hand, click it to light it, or shift right click on it to light it. There we go, it's lit. Now all it needs is to be covered. And then if we switch this back to our hand, we should be able to see smoke particles coming out the top. And yes, we do see smoke particles, I think, there. It says warming up. That's a good sign. That means that is going. So let's go ahead and grab up our fire clay here. Nope. That way. Yeah. Control click. There we go. All right. So now we have all of our fire clay bricks. Lots of those. We need a place to put down our bloomery, though. And I think the place that I want to do the bloomery is actually going to be over here. At least for now, I think this will be a fine space for a bloomery. All right. So if I remember correctly, we need to make the bloomery base with 8 pieces, just like that. There we go. And then we need to make a hat for the bloomery, the chimney, that'll go right on top like that. There we go. This will get fed with charcoal. Okay, so there is the last of our calcinated flint that we made by throwing it into the fire with some charcoal so it gets nice and hot. We are gonna throw this into the quern and then we are gonna grind this down, and then that can be mixed with our red clay to make fire clay. The fire clay we can then craft into an oven, and we can get on to the next thing that I had in mind for today's episode. All right, there is all of our powdered calcinated flint. Now we can go and finally wrap this in our red clay. We're still on that red clay we made forever ago. That's a lot of extra red clay that we have here, so that's good. And we know where to find more if we need it. Okay, so we've got 128 of that. Let's see now what our options look like. All sorts of new things that we can make. But most importantly here, the clay oven. So let's see here. That's going to require, a lot of clay forming here. This is going to take a second. We are probably going to use the auto clay forming because I don't want to just have to click through all of this. You know, here in the US, it is actually very close to Thanksgiving. By the time you've seen this, probably we are going to be past Thanksgiving, but I thought it might be nice for us to spend a little bit of time today making up some pies, and maybe it's also a good chance to talk about what we are thankful for. Personally, I am very thankful to have my health and be, at least at the moment, gainfully employed, although who knows how that's going to go in this world these days. But also, you know, my family is healthy. I have, well, at the moment, 3 adorable cats, as well as a stray outside that I've been feeding. A whole menagerie of animals to keep me company. And, you know, in the general scheme of things, given how the world is going, things aren't terrible. So I'm thankful thankful for good friends, and thankful to be spending some time on Thanksgiving here in just a day or so with a lot of good friends, and eating good food, most of which I will have prepared. So yeah, that's what I'm thankful for this year. Feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you all are thankful for as well. Always happy to hear about the positive things going on in people's world. Especially these days, it's really important to try and talk about the positive stuff as much as we can in these days when it feels like it's dark and things can be hard for so many of us and so many of our friends here. All right, enough sappy talk here. Let's get this clay finished up into a clay oven, and then we can start making some delicious pies. All right, there is our clay oven. So this is wonderful. Let's go ahead and break this out, and we need a place to put it. We are very rapidly running out of room here. For now, I'm gonna put it up here in front of the window. I think that's a fine place for it. It can live there. I don't think, this doesn't need to be cooked or anything. It's actually just ready to go right after being clay formed. We're not gonna question whether or not that's realistic or not, but for right now, we do know that probably isn't the way it works in the real world. We probably would have had to bake that. All right. So now we have a bunch of spelt grain here, and this becomes spelt flour. Spelt flour we can then use to make into dough, and I believe the dough we can then use to make a pie. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I think what we're going to want to do here is do 16 spelt. There we go. That's a nice round, at least mathematically round number. And so we do need to grind this in the quern real quick here. We're doing a lot of grinding today. That's fine. Nothing wrong with a little bump and grind here. So let's get this taken care of. Again, in real life here, I did go ahead and buy myself a spice grinder. And no, not that kind of spice grinder, an actual nut and spice grinder. I got a Cuisinart brand one. I'm not getting any kickback by saying that. That just happens to be the one that I bought. It's got a nice little pulse feature, and you can drop all of your dry spices in there and grind them up. I find it's really, really useful because I like to use a lot of different warming spices that typically are nice and woody. So things like an allspice, things like particularly a cardamom. I love cardamom, and being able to make your own cardamom powder fresh from the actual seed pods. You break them open, and inside there's these little tiny nuggets that you can then peel out and then grind those up, and that makes for fresh cardamom that's very, very potent, very pungent. I really, really enjoy that. So do a lot of spice grinding there. I also this year grew a whole lot of basil, and I've been using my basil, and I've got a little bit of oregano, but mostly just tons and tons of basil. So using that in the spice grinder, I've been able to have my own dried oregano that I can use for various recipes, or dried basil. That's been really, really helpful to have, because then you don't have to buy it from the store. You know, you spend, what, $2 at most on a seed packet, and you've got enough to last you for a year, 2 years. I think I'm gonna have basil until the end of time now, just from basically this year's crop, and also more seeds that I know what to do with. So those are all drying and being prepared to plant again next year. It's the amazing thing about farming. You know, once you have a little bit going, you basically get seeds off of whatever you've done, and you basically have free food forever, effectively, if you can get that cycle going for you. But right now we are just making dough, and this is also going to be free food forever for us at some point, but it's going to take a lot of manual crafting for us to get here. And unfortunately, doing it one little spoonful at a time of water to flour is not the fastest way of doing this. Now, on Thanksgiving, I'm probably going to make up some wheat rolls. I really enjoy baking. I've just been getting into bread baking like a lot of people have. I'm a little behind the curve, I feel like, versus a lot of folks who I think during the pandemic really got into it. But I'm trying to catch up. I used to make real authentic pretzels back in the day. I've mentioned that on the channel before, like actually lye dipped so you get that nice hard crust. But these days I've been trying different types of bread to make. And I got a decent focaccia the other day, and some seeded rustic loaves that I've really been enjoying. But on Thanksgiving, I always make my wheat rolls, and I really enjoy those. The real trick here is that it's been really hard to find decent yeast around here. I feel like the grocery store I go to, every time I buy yeast, there's like, you know, a 1 in 4 chance it will actually end up rising, no matter how long I leave it. I feel like the yeast is just dead on arrival here, so that's been my biggest challenge when it comes to this stuff. Now, it looks like this bread in the game is not requiring any sort of yeast, and we can just make it with whatever we have on hand, but I'm sure there's some natural things in the water there, since we're just using water out of a hole in the ground to be able to make our bread. Okay, so we have this. So now that we have that bread, we can use this to make a variety of different pies. I probably am going to be making a vegetable pie, and I do like to put a crust on top. Ooh, soft dough. What is soft dough? How do we make soft dough? Kneading together, broth. Oh, is this with other ingredients we can add to it? All right, well, looking up the recipe for eggs crashed the game. So let me see here. Egg, and we want liquid, right? Or egg yolk? Whatever that was, here we go. Liquid chicken egg portion. Yeah, that's gonna crash the game every single time we do it. Okay, so for whatever reason, that is a cursed recipe and we're never gonna think about it again. All right, well, that wasn't too bad. We only lost a few minutes of work here using this dough. So let's go ahead and see what the next thing we need to do here is to make our vegetable pie. We are going to need to find a table to create the crust. So that's easy enough. We have a table right here. We can grab this jug and throw it down there. This is now an aged table, but I'm gonna assume it's clean enough to eat off of. So let's go ahead and put down our pie on the table. Does it not consider this to be a table? Okay, let's go ahead and make a wooden table and see if this doesn't suffice for our purposes here. We'll just put you here. Yeah, there we go. Now it doesn't care. It seems that the aged table it does not like for whatever reason. All right, so we need ingredients for this. The turnips that we've got are going to give us 100 saturation, which I think is going to be the best option for right now. Let's go ahead and make sure that we top this as well. And I think, yeah, there we go. We can right click on it with our knife and we get a lovely, lovely pie here. So before we can bake the pie, we have to heat up the oven first. So let's go ahead and store our pie for now and there. And let's actually go ahead and make up a bunch of pies while we are at it. I think we can do a decent number of these. I'm just going to make them all look the same. I think it'll let us stack those, but I'm not positive. Will you? Yeah, you'll let me stack those. Great. Okay, that'll go there. Whole bunch of servings of turnip and then another pie crust on top. There we go. And then we put this in here just like that. And one more of these pies, and I think we will be done with our pieing for now. And then, yeah, there we go. Nice decorative top on that. Okay, wonderful. So that'll go in there. We're gonna put our turnips back, but this should give us, look at that. That's a lot of saturation. 2,700, I will take it. All right, so now we need to get the oven up to temperature. So I guess I can use peat for that, but honestly, there's no reason not to make some more firewood while we are at it. So let's go ahead and take 16 pieces of our logs and turn that into 64 firewood. And we have one extra because for whatever reason, I have another spare piece that's been hanging out since pretty much forever. Let's go ahead and fill this up. There we go, just like that. And now we can take our torch and light that. There we go. Okay, slowly cooking, slowly getting up to temperature. Once that is all the way full and roasty toasty, we will then throw in our pie. That's fresh for 5 more days. Once we bake it, we'll get a little more time off of that. So this oven will then finish that out. I think while I'm at it, since we've determined that this particular table is not useful for our purposes for baking, but only for storing things, we can go ahead and break this down completely. And there we go. That goes a lot faster if you use a pickaxe. The wooden table, on the other hand, needs a regular axe. We'll put that here. And yeah, we can put our other table upstairs with all of our beds and whatnot. I'll just put it there. Now we have a nice little end table. That'll work fine. I am stuck on the stairs. This is a constant problem. There we go. Until we clean this up and get a better storage system figured out. Okay, so the oven is done and it's going to cool down rapidly. So give me one of those pies and let's get that in there. All right. So we need to keep a really close eye on our pie. And the reason for that is as the oven is cooling down, the pie is baking, but that's going to go from raw to cooked very quickly. And once it gets to cooked, then of course we need to pull it out immediately because otherwise it'll become burnt. So this is the fun part of the game where we just keep a very close eye on that pie, waiting for that turnip pie to go from raw to cooked. There we go, part baked. And there we go, turnip pie done. Okay, great. So let's go to throw this in here. And now we are gonna try and slide in another pie and see if we can't get this cooked with the heat that we have remaining here. Now with any luck, I'll be able to get a couple of pies in here while the oven is still hot and get them all baked properly. That is the goal. All right, and another perfect pie. I'll take it. Let's go ahead and throw this down on the table and we should be able to use our knife on it. And that gives us slices of pie. And you can see here, now each of these gives us 680 nutrition each. That is a lot of saturation here. And we are starving actually at the moment. So I think 2 slices of pie will fix us right up. I definitely feel better now and we are now full. Now, once I put it back in here, you can see we're getting 19 days in our storage for it. So that's a decent amount of time that that pie is going to stay good for us. We aren't going to have to worry about food for quite a while. Well, I don't know about you all, but I am starting to feel pretty festive here. And now I have this delicious pie that I can take and share with my friends, and we can have a lovely snack together. I think this will be a delicious turnip pie for everybody to enjoy. But that is going to be, for now, the end of this episode. And if I didn't say it earlier, I am thankful for you, friends. Thanks for being along here on the journey with me as we are playing through more Vintagestory and all the other games we've been playing. But we will definitely see you back here next time. Bye, friends.